Welcome back, everybody, for this first Global Networking Forum session of this afternoon. I hope you all had a nice networking lunch and you are now ready for our next session that is organized by the State Space Corporation Roscosmos and the Chinese National Space Administration under the title Roadmap for the Creation of the International Research Lunar Station. Let me inform you that you will be able to engage in the discussion again by using our Slido system, which you now already know. So don't be shy, feel free to ask questions and rate the questions. And I would like now to welcome and introduce the moderator of this session, Mr. Sergei Savelyev, Deputy Director General for International Cooperation at the State Space Corporation Roscosmos and IAF Vice President for Relations with International Organizations. Sergei Savelyev, please.
Господин Уяньхуа, уважаемый господин Файтингер, уважаемые участники совещания. Сегодня мы с моим коллегой из Китайской национальной космической администрации, заместителем администратора КНК Уяньхуа, проводим совместное мероприятие, в ходе которого представим вашему вниманию дорожную карту по созданию международной научной лунной станции, в которой отражены основные элементы будущей миссии и предварительные этапы ее реализации, а также базовые принципы предполагаемой международной кооперации.
Dear Mr. Uyanhua, dear Mr. Feitinger, and dear participants of our session. Today, me and my colleague from the China National Space Agency, Deputy Head of the agency, Mr. Uyanhua, we are holding this joint session, and over the course of this session, we will offer to your opinion the roadmap on setting up the International Lunar Research Station. This roadmap highlights key components of the future mission, indicates stages in its implementation, and also outlines basic principles of proposed international cooperation.
Сегодня в сессии со стороны Роскосмоса и КНК также принимают участие эксперты, которые отвечают за реализацию фундаментальных космических исследований, включая исследования Луны и дальнего космоса. Роскосмос представляет Виктор Ворон и Китайскую национальную космическую администрацию господин Пэй Джао Юй, соответственно.
This joint session is held with participation of experts who are currently responsible for implementation of fundamental space research, including exploration of the Moon and deeper space exploration. From Roscosmos, for this fundamental research, we have Victor Voron, he is the person responsible, and from the Chinese side, we have Pei Jiaoyui.
В первую очередь хотел бы отметить и поблагодарить российских и китайских коллег за слаженную работу и традиционно конструктивный настрой при реализации российско-китайского сотрудничества в области космической деятельности.
First, I would like to thank our Russian and Chinese colleagues for well-coordinated work and the traditionally constructive approach they normally take to international cooperation in the space area.
С момента первого анонса проекта по созданию международной научной лунной станции российскими и китайскими экспертами проделано много работы.
From the moment this project had been announced, both Russian and Chinese experts did a lot of work.
В марте текущего года подписан соответствующий межправительственный меморандум о взаимопонимании. В апреле текущего года в рамках российско-китайского совместного мероприятия на полях научно-технического подкомитета Комитета ООН по космосу мы сделали совместное заявление о планах по созданию международной научной лунной станции и пригласили в проект международных партнеров.
In March 2021, Russia and China signed an intergovernmental memorandum of understanding, and in April 2021, Russia and China announced this project on the sidelines of the meeting of a subcommittee on science and technology of the United Nations Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. At that meeting, the project was announced, and both Russia and China invited other countries to join this project.
Проект по созданию Международной научной лунной станции открыт для всех потенциальных международных партнеров, заинтересованных в сотрудничестве по проекту, укреплении научно-исследовательских обменов и содействии мирному исследованию и использованию космического пространства в интересах всего человечества.
The ILRS project is open for other countries to join. Those countries who may be interested in strengthening international cooperation, in fostering exchange of scientific and technical data, as well as promoting peaceful research of outer space and the use of outer space for the benefit of the entire mankind.
Госкорпорация «Роскосмос» и Китайская национальная космическая администрация отчетливо видят растущую заинтересованность мирового космического сообщества к нашему проекту по созданию Международной научной лунной станции. Поэтому, начиная с апреля текущего года, мы и наши китайские партнеры активно приглашаем к сотрудничеству в рамках этого проекта ведущие космические агентства, и не только ведущие.
Roscosmos State Corporation and China National Space Agency can clearly see the growing interest that international space community currently displays towards this project. And exactly for this reason, starting from April this year, both Russia and China are actively offering the idea of cooperation and offering an option to participate in the ILRS project. This option is offered to leading space agencies and high-profile organizations working in space area.
Ну а теперь мы перейдем уже непосредственно к презентации проекта, и я с удовольствием представляю слово китайской стороне для демонстрации презентации. Пожалуйста, слово господину Пэй Джао Ою.
And now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our Chinese counterparts to make the presentation of the roadmap. Please, Mr. Pei Jiaoyui, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be at this meeting to present to you the roadmap for ILRS. This roadmap is actually formulated based on the multiple exchanges and discussions between Chinese and Russian engineering groups. It actually includes the definitions, functions, composition, and also the development path for this ILRS. Next slide, please. Next, please. So the International Lunar Research Station refers to a very complex experimental research facilities to be constructed with the possible attraction of other countries, international organizations, and international partners on the surface or in the orbit of the Moon, designed for multiple discipline and multi-purpose scientific research activities. Next slide, please. The ILRS will include the following aspects. For example, like lunar topography, geomorphology and geological structure, lunar physics and internal structure, lunar chemistry, cis-lunar space environment, lunar-based astronomical observations, lunar-based Earth observations, lunar-based biological and medical experiment, and etc. Next, please. So, the ILRS has actually planned the cis-lunar transportation facility, long-term support facility on lunar surface, lunar transportation and operation facility, scientific facility, ground support, and application facility. Next, please. So the cislunar transportation facility will support cislunar round trip between the Earth and the Moon, lunar orbiting, soft landing, ascending on lunar surface, and re-entry to the Earth. Next, the long-term support facility on lunar surface will support command center, global TT and CNET, energy supply, thermal management, and various support modules if needed. Lunar Transportation and Operation Facility will support various modules to move or hop on the lunar surface. It will also be able to complete a lot of functions to actually accomplish a lot of cargo transportation, etc. Next slide, please. Lunar Scientific Facility will support in-orbit and surface scientific experiment, observations, technology verification, and deep space exploration. Next, please. So, for this International Lunar Research Station, we will have 3 phases. The first is reconnaissance, second, construction, and third, utilization. Next, please. So phase 1 is the reconnaissance. We plan that between 2021 and 2025, we would like to conduct cooperation with Russia by actually launching CE4, CE6, CE7, and also the Russia Lunar 25, Lunar 26, and Lunar 27, altogether 6 missions. Next, please. So the second phase is the construction phase. We have 2 sub-stages. Stage 1 refers to the period between 2026 and 2030. We have 2 missions planned during this period, that is CE8 and Lunar 28. We hope that we can accomplish the command center technology verification, sample return, and massive cargo delivery, and also high precision soft landing, and etc.
The stage 2 is from 2031 to 2035. We will finish the comprehensive establishment of the ILRS to improve the in-orbit and service facilities for energy, communication, transportation services, as well as research, exploration, and verification of in-situ utilization of resources and other potential common technologies. Next slide, please. The phase 3 is for application after the year of 2036. The ILRS will be used to carry out long-term lunar research and exploration and technology verification. It will also support manned lunar landing. Modules of the ILRS will be expanded and maintained as needed. Next slide, please. This picture is a design sketch of the ILRS after completion. Next slide, please. The ILRS will be open to the whole international community, and we welcome all the stakeholders to participate. The international partners can participate into the following areas. First, the strategy, development, and coordination related to the moon exploration and utilization, defining cooperation areas, and planning the roadmap for ILRS development. Second, joint study on the scientific and engineering objectives of ILRS, including determining necessary missions and developing the roadmap. And the third is to study on the legal frameworks and also the documents within this ILRS. And number 4 is to study on the existing standards in the areas such as launch vehicle and space aircraft technologies. Number 5 is to work on the concepts, preliminary designs, modeling tests, and the verification of the ILRS and also its components. Number 6 is to study on the synergies between different scientific and technological researches and development, including by conducting the assembly integration test of ILRS. Number 7 is to jointly carry out the launching of the ILRS and also the operation and the management of the ILRS, including the ground support station and other activities. And the last but not least is the analysis and sharing of the scientific data within the ILRS framework in accordance with the domestic legislation of export controls. Next slide, please. All the cooperation areas of the ILRS can be classified into 5 categories. For Category A, partners will systematically contribute to the development of the general architecture, the scientific objectives, roadmap of the ILRS, and also participate in the scientific or engineering missions of ILRS. Next slide, please. Category B will be space system cooperation. Partners will cooperate with China or Russia in one or more space systems based on the ILRS overall architecture and functions. And for the Category B, we also have 3 subcategories, that is B1, B2, and B3. For the subcategory B1, partners will develop at least one system of ILRS. For instance, the independent energy module, the robot. And for the subcategory B2, partners will participate in the missions led by CNSA. In this occasion, CNSA is responsible for discussing the cooperation with partners. And for the subcategory B3, the partners will participate in the missions led by the Roscosmos. And in this occasion, the Roscosmos is responsible for discussing the cooperation with partners. Next slide, please. And for the Category C, that is a cooperation on the subsystem cooperation, the partners will develop at least one or sets of space subsystems based on the defined space missions and space systems of ILRS. For example, the payloads of a spacecraft can be jointly developed by 2 or more partners. We can also cooperate on the communication system. And the responsible party of the space system is in the position to discuss the cooperation with the potential partners. Next slide, please. For the Category D, that is cooperation on equipment, the partners will supply one or sets of equipment according to defined space missions or subsystems of the ILRS. For instance, the pickback of the scientific instrument for a payload subsystem, and also the automatic cranes. The responsible party of the space subsystem is in the position to discuss the cooperation with the partners. Next slide, please. For Category E, that is a ground and application cooperation. The partners can cooperate on ground segment, in-orbit operation and maintenance, construction of the joint data center, data analysis, and also application. Next slide, please. In order to establish the ILRS, China and Russia has established the joint working group. And within this working group, we have also set up the legal group, the scientific group, and also the engineering group. And we can look at this table to see the structure of the working group. So far, the working groups of both the Chinese and Russian side have conducted some work according to our own functions. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And this table shows the opportunities for the CNSA missions, that is the Chang'e 4, 6, 7, 8 opportunities for cooperation. Next slide, please. And this table shows the opportunities for the Roscosmos missions, that is the Lunar 25, 26, 27, and 28 missions. Next slide, please. And this table shows the opportunities for the future missions by the China, Russia, and partners. That is a newly added opportunities for cooperation. So far, these missions are still at the stage of the research and also verification. So both China and Russia welcome the participation from all the interesting partners. Next slide, please. In order to facilitate the participation and cooperation from our potential partners, and we can look at this table for the context from both the Chinese and also Russian side, and we will give feedbacks to all of you. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Спасибо большое, господин Пэй Джаоюй. Эта дорожная карта, которая была представлена, является результатом совместного труда российских и китайских специалистов. Ну и, как вы видели, она отражает основные этапы и элементы будущей миссии и принципы возможного международного участия. Я прошу Виктора Ворона прокомментировать основные аспекты этого документа. Пожалуйста.
Dear Mr. Pei Jiaoyu, thank you very much for presenting the roadmap for the ILRS project. And this is the result of a joint effort of Russian and Chinese experts. And this roadmap highlights key components of the future mission and outlines basic principles of international cooperation within the framework of this project. And now I would like to give the floor to Victor Voron, the person responsible for the scientific part of this project from the side of Roscosmos State Corporation.
Спасибо. Уважаемый Сергей Валентинович, уважаемые господа Уань Хуа, господин Файтингер, дамы и господа, коллеги.
Dear Mr. Savelyev, dear Mr. Wu Yanhua, Mr. Feitinger, and dear colleagues.
Позвольте прежде всего поблагодарить господина Пэй Джаоюй за презентацию дорожной карты по созданию международной научной лунной станции.
First, I would like to thank Mr. Pei Jiaoyu for a detailed presentation of the ILRS project roadmap.
Потенциальную научную значимость представленного проекта по созданию международной научной лунной станции трудно переоценить. Получение комплексных научных знаний о происхождении и настоящем нашего ближайшего естественного спутника представляется крайне значимым для всего населения Земли, для всего человечества.
I think it is very difficult to overestimate the scientific significance of the project that was just presented to you. And it is very important for the entire mankind to receive comprehensive and updated information on the origin of its its closest natural satellite, and also receive comprehensive information on the current condition of the Moon.
Участие широкой международной кооперации в таких исследованиях позволит существенно ускорить этот процесс и расширить спектр решаемых одновременно научных задач.
International cooperation within the framework of such projects helps to dramatically speed the process up and also helps expand the range of scientific research.
Учитывая растущую заинтересованность мирового космического сообщества к проекту по созданию Международной научной лунной станции, нами было принято очень своевременное решение создать такой документ, как дорожная карта, который отражал бы основные элементы миссии, этапы ее реализации и базовые принципы участия в ней всех заинтересованных партнеров.
Taking into account the growing interest which is currently being displayed by the international space community towards the ILRS project, I believe that the decision to prepare a document that would clearly describe the key components of this mission, would describe stages of its implementation and also outline basic principles of international cooperation. The decision to prepare such a document was taken at the right time.
При этом хотел бы отметить, что представленная дорожная карта – это живой документ, который может и будет обновляться или дополняться по мере достижения договоренности в рамках работы экспертных групп по научным задачам, по технической реализации, в том числе с новыми присоединившимися партнерами.
I would like to mention that this roadmap is a live document which will be updated and amended as our experts come to terms and come to understanding regarding the research tasks that have to be implemented and regarding the details of technical implementation of the project.
Еще раз хочу поблагодарить наших китайских и российских коллег за прекрасно подготовленную и представленную дорожную карту создания Международной научной лунной станции. Спасибо.
I would like to once again thank our Chinese counterparts for making a very well prepared and detailed presentation of the ILRS project roadmap. Thank you very much.
Спасибо, господин Ворон. Уважаемые дамы и господа, сейчас вашему вниманию будет представлен небольшой видеоролик о создании Международной научной лунной станции. Пожалуйста.
Thank you very much, Mr. Voron. And now we would like to offer to your attention a brief video fragment showing the process of setting up the International Lunar Research Station.
The vast universe sparks the exploration dream of humankind. The moon has been endowed with endless revelry and good wishes since ancient times. We keep on exploring on the moon for thousands of years. We wonder where she comes from and where human will reach in the future. The moon is an important object for finding these ultimate answers. More than 6 decades ago, brave men began their exploration of the moon. This time, we come with greater courage, stronger determination, and more ambitious goals. We no longer satisfy with simple visits. We are here for the long-term exploration. The International Lunar Research Station makes these visions possible. It will give us a deeper understanding of the moon and help us find the answers. The ILRS is a comprehensive scientific experimental base on the lunar surface and toward lunar orbit. It can realize long-term autonomous running for lunar exploration and utilization. The construction of ILRS will go through 3 phases of reconnaissance, construction, and utilization. Reconnaissance. By 2025, we will have sent Chang'e 4, Chang'e 6, Chang'e 7, Luna 25, Luna 26, and Luna 27 to the moon. Through 6 missions, the moon will be jointly explored by various detection forms. They include remote sensing, in situ detection and sample return. The site of scientific research station will be determined. Construction. From 2026 to 2030, we will send Chang'e 8 and Lunar 28 missions to conduct cooperative exploration, finishing technology verification of ILRS. From 2031 to 2035, the international lunar missions will be sent. It is to construct the command center, energy facilities, communication facilities, and lunar-based scientific exploration facilities. It will also verify in situ utilization of resources and other common technology in deep space exploration. Utilization. After 2036, the ILRS can be used for long-term scientific exploration, technical validation, and resource utilization. It can also support short-term human missions to the moon. Peace, development, cooperation, and mutual benefit are core concepts of ILRS and will be open to all interested countries and organizations that are willing to cooperate. More countries and regions will have a chance in exploring the moon, developing space technology, and inspiring younger generations. China National Space Administration and Roscosmos welcome more international partners. A lunar scientific research facility will be jointly built to benefit all mankind.
Уважаемые коллеги, если есть вопросы, то мы сейчас можем перейти к этой части нашей сессии.
Dear colleagues, if you have any questions, we are ready to take your questions. The floor is open.
Thank you. We have already received several questions on the Slido platform, and I'm very happy to put them in front of our distinguished speakers. First question would be, will there be a dedicated legal framework to govern the relationships amongst the partners of the Lunar Research Station, like the ISS Intergovernmental Agreement or the Artemis Accords? Maybe Mr. Savielli, if you start, and maybe our Chinese colleagues can then add.
Да, я начну отвечать на этот вопрос. Безусловно, необходимая нормативно-правовая база международная будет создана. Она уже, значит, создание ее уже началось.
I think I'll start answering this question. The brief answer to this question is yes. The necessary legal framework will be created, and we have already started working on it.
Как уже сегодня об этом говорилось, уже подписан межправительственный меморандум. Это не межведомственный меморандум, а межправительственный меморандум, значит, российско-китайский, о создании международной научной лунной станции. Далее мы сейчас с китайскими партнерами разрабатываем уже юридически обязывающий документ. Это межправительственное соглашение по, значит, этому вопросу. И далее, по мере присоединения партнеров, будут созданы документы, регламентирующие уже все необходимые параметры, имея в виду принципы управления проектом, участия, вкладов, ну и так далее.
So, as I have already mentioned in my statement, there is a Russo-Chinese Memorandum of Understanding that has been signed on the intergovernmental level. So this is not an interdepartmental document. This is the document signed between the two governments. And we are currently focusing on preparing the wording for the legally binding intergovernmental agreement that would regulate matters pertaining to this ILRS project. And as other countries as other countries join this project, other documents would be created complementing to this legal framework, and these documents would outline principles of participation, contribution to the project, and other relevant parameters.
Then let's move on to the next question. Maybe we put the next question to our colleagues from China. When do China and Russia expect to land their first citizens on the moon?
So first of all, on behalf of CNSA and also on behalf, I would like to welcome all the friends from the space industry to participate in this GNF for the creation of ILRS. So in response to the first question, I highly agree with Deputy Director General Savilyev's answer that China and Russia, we have already established a specialized legal team under the joint working group between the two governments. So for this legal team, we also welcome all the parties to participate in it and follow the legal framework. We hope that by the end of this year, we can issue the first version of the legal framework so that we can hand out the version 1 of this legal framework to all the meeting participants during our next session. And for the second question, so we have already signed a memorandum of understanding between the two governments. We hope that the two governments can sign a formal agreement on launching or creating this ILRS, and the relevant legal documents will also be represented in this agreement. So thirdly, be it the legal documents or the relevant rules and principles guiding the ILRS, we should follow the principle of peaceful exploration, win-win cooperation. And also we should actually focus on the protection of IPRs and also other international rules. So this is my supplement to the first question. We also would like to thank the Chinese and Russian engineering scientific groups for their preparations for this GNF, which are quite important and very significant for this meeting today. Second, just now we have a question from the audience about the man's landing on the moon. As you might actually read from the news or the media that We've just actually launched the Tianhe core module and also the Tianzhou cargo vehicles has also been successfully launched. Within this week, we are going to launch the Shenzhou 12 manned spacecraft with 3 astronauts in this spacecraft to enter the Tianhe core module of our Chinese space station. So they will carry out a lot of missions, for example, like the adjustment, maintenance of a lot of facilities on the space station. So we are focusing on the Tianhe core module establish construction and utilization. So this is the priority of our work currently. As for the manned landing on moon, I think this is just a preparatory work. We are still focusing on unmanned lunar exploration as the priority of our work in the near 10 years or near decade. But we will also do a lot of preparatory work and research work in this aspect. So we hope we are able to actually send our researchers to the surface of the moon in the future for them to carry out missions on the surface of the moon. So we will also consider the relevant supports we have in this regard as for landing our people on the moon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we move on to the next question, and maybe I can read it. Have you already been contacted by potential partner countries to join? And if yes, can you say which countries? Maybe Mr. Saville, if you start, and then maybe Mr. Wu can add.
Да, ответ «да». Мы ведем переговоры с Европейским космическим агентством. Более того, специалисты ЕКО уже принимают участие в наших лунных проектах. В частности, они вносят вклад в реализацию миссии Луна-25, Луна-26, 27. И мы в стадии переговоров находимся.
The brief answer to this question is, again, yes. We are currently in the process of negotiating this participation with the European Space Agency. And by the way, European Space Agency is already taking an active part in our lunar projects and lunar missions such as Lunar 25, 26, and 27.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wu, would you like to add something?
Just now, we said that the ILRS is a actually inclusive platform. So China and Russia, we have been contributing our work to the establishment of this station. So I would like to emphasize that for the ILRS,
just now, Mr. Pei has explained the 5 categories of our cooperation opportunities, and we welcome all the countries and also the space agencies, experts, and scientists to participate in this program. Just now, we are still at the stage of the initial preparation. Just now, our Russian colleague has also mentioned that both Russia and China are now contacting and also communicating with the ESA and also the space agency in France. And in the last video conference, And many countries are very interested to ask us how to participate in this program. And so that is the purpose of our today's meeting. That is to have a more detailed explanation to all of the potential partners, including what areas can we cooperate on and how can you contact our colleagues in both China and Russia. And just now, the Asia Pacific Space Association and also some other countries, for instance, Thailand and Saudi Arabia, UAE, in our bilateral communication, they have also expressed their interests in this program. But it is still at the initial stage of the communication and contacts. And I really hope that through today's meeting, and we want to send the formal invitation to all the potential partners. And now I have provided you the contacts of our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wu. Let's move on to the next question. How about cooperation with private companies in ILRS? Mr. Savilev, please. Maybe you start, and then we'll switch also to Mr. Wu.
Вы знаете, насколько я знаю, на сегодня каких-то специальных положений относительно участия частной компании мы пока нигде не фиксировали, но мы не исключаем, совершенно не исключаем участие частного бизнеса. Это вопрос дальнейшей работы.
As far as I know, at the moment, we do not have specific guidelines regulating the principles of participation of private companies in this project, but we are not ruling out this option for private companies, but I would say that this matter needs to be explored further.
Thank you, Mr. Savilev. Mr. Wu, can you add something to this question?
I totally agree with Mr. Savilev. At present, we have not contacting or communicating with the private companies in the private sector. But just now, as I have mentioned, that this program is very inclusive and open to all the potential partners. So if there are any private companies who are interested in this program, we're open to that. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Wu. I see that there are still many questions open, and there will be for sure still the opportunity to ask these questions and to answer these questions. But I would now like to give back to Mr. Savilev to start the round of the closing remarks. Thank you.
Спасибо, господин Файтингер. Уважаемый господин Уяньхуа, я прошу вас выступить с заключительным словом, а потом уже я так сказать, завершу эту сессию. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. And dear Mr. Wu Yanhua, I would request you to make the closing statements as a statement, and then I would officially close our session today.
Thank you. Distinguished President Fahatinger, distinguished DDG Savilev, and also dear friends and colleagues from different national space agencies and the space organizations. We thank you, all of you, again for attending today's meeting, co-hosted by China, the CNSA, and the Roscosmos. And I have explained that the purpose of today's meeting is to publish the version 1 of the roadmap of the ILRS and also the guide for partnership. Both of these two documents are the version 1 documents, and we explain the concepts, planning of this, and also the potential cooperation areas for this program. And we have also received several very good questions. So finally, on behalf of the Chinese side, I would like to say a few words. First, China and Russia have achieved consensus between our two governments, and we will join our hands together to research and also verify this program. And second, we also agree that this program will be open to you all, and we welcome the participation from all the national space agencies and also any possible potential partners from the private sector and also the individual experts and the scientists. And we welcome all of your participation at all the stages in all the different forms. And third, as to all the potential partners, we will follow the principle of equality and also inclusiveness. And we're all equal as long as we participate in this program. And we can work together to do the work of the verification and also the overall plan of the establishment of this program, as well as the legal documents we have just now discussed. Last but not least, so far, both China and Russia have planned our own lunar exploration missions. And these missions will serve the establishment of the ILRS. At the same time, for China, the Chang'e 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our 5 missions are also open to all the other potential partners. For instance, the Chang'e 6, 7, 8, we have many potential opportunities for cooperation. We also welcome the participation from our international partners into the Chinese missions, and your participation will also contribute to the advancement of the ILRS program. Finally, I would like to emphasize that we will share all the research results, including the data and any other results, to all the participants. Thank you. Thank you all again. And thank you, Mr. Saveliev, and also thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, all the attendees. Thank you.
Спасибо, уважаемый господин Уяньхуа. Уважаемые дамы и господа, дорогие друзья, реализация международного сотрудничества в области создания и использования международной научной лунной станции, как уже сегодня говорилось, позволит повысить эффективность проводимых исследований. Это связано со снижением затрат на использование и создание станции, с возможностью управления эффективного потенциальными техническими и финансовыми рисками, особенно принимая во внимание масштабность этого проекта.
Dear Mr. Uyanhua, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, international cooperation within the framework of the International Lunar Research Station will help boost efficiency of scientific research carried out as part of the project, will also help reduce the cost and help better manage technological and financial risks which appear during this project.
Мы уверены, что эффективная международная кооперация по этому проекту позволит добиться серьезных совместных успехов в освоении космического пространства в целом и будет способствовать укреплению и продвижению научно-исследовательского взаимодействия в интересах всего человечества. Спасибо всем за участие.
We strongly believe that large-scale international cooperation within the framework of this project will help us to achieve meaningful and joint result in space exploration, and will also foster scientific and technical progress that would serve the benefit of the entire mankind. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wu, and thank you very much, Mr. Savele, for this very informative panel. And now we will proceed here with another Global Networking Forum session just in a few minutes. Just allow us to reset the stage, and it will be on the topic of sustainable moon economy. So stay with us just a few minutes. Thank you.